You come in for 24 hours. Yeah, you always wanted to set some up. So now you got the opportunity. So set some up for tomorrow night. That last vision we had was Dawn and ATL. See you put it together, baby.
So for me, you know how every time a black man get lit, they come after him, right? Yeah, I'ma just be the first to say it, bro. I don't think he did it. I really don't. Like, think about it. Bro, like, for me, he did a lot of BS in the past, you know, RP Biggie. And yeah, he freaked out with the baby oil and, for me, the parties and all that extra stuff. For me, like, that's your business. But, you feel me? He's a billionaire. Billions. You gotta think, he owned liquor companies, like, he like, feel me? You can't make these moves without knocking certain people out of position to get in position, you know? So for me, I ain't even gonna get too into detail, you know? I don't think he did it. Maybe I'm bugging, maybe I'm not. You feel me? 3-yard killing, nigga.
One thing about it, two things for sure. That nigga Diddy is guilty. That nigga guilty.
Yeah, that's my friend. I'm in Miami. I don't have a lot of friends out here, okay? She asked me if she could work out with me. I said, okay. You gotta believe what you want. This is the last time you gonna be cursing at me, disrespecting me over nothing. Like I'm a human being. I'm not gonna lock myself up in a room and have no friends. I don't have a bunch of guy friends. I already told you that. And she just came over to work out. Like, but I'm not gonna be explaining to you. It don't matter if I just got finished with her the other day. I'm single. I could do whatever I want to, but I didn't. You're straight flipping out on me, and I told you that you had one more time to do this. Flipping out on me because somebody came to work out with me at my house. You're nuts. So be sad, go crazy, do whatever you want to do. Okay, I don't deserve you. I don't deserve being honest with somebody. And then every time they see somebody around, they like, I'm doing something. I'm working out. And ain't nobody threatening you, and I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no motherfucking games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you could be mad, I could have a spat, we could have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really, that's all it is.
Hey yo, thanks for tuning into The Source, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. Ever since each of the attorneys gave their closing arguments in the Diddy case, everybody out here is making predictions on whether or not Diddy's going to jail. So, I might as well add my 2 cents too. I believe that the jury is going to find him guilty of some of the charges, not all of the charges, but some of the charges, and that this is what Diddy's going to look like when he gets out of jail in 2045.
What's up, baby? What you doing?
Hey, hit that shit real quick.
Oh, come on, man.
Come on, hit that shit up. Hit that shit up. Hit that shit. Hey, there we go. Where you going,
I'll go down to the show. Hey, let me get $4.
I got you when I get down there.
You gonna give me $4 when you get down?
Yeah, I'm gonna meet you right down there.
You got that Yukon,
Yeah.
I like that Yukon.
I appreciate it.
Well,
Nah, but for real, I don't think that Diddy's gonna get 20 years, but I do think that Diddy's gonna get something. And let me tell you why. Even though the crowd cheered in the overflow rooms when Diddy's defense team finished their closing arguments, I don't think that Mark Agnifilo did a good job. And I'm gonna tell you why. Even though what Mark was saying sounded good and it sounded like he was getting Diddy off, what he was saying really didn't have a lot of substance. For example, how are you as an attorney gonna argue the fact that Diddy's team and his assistants didn't know that they were breaking the law when they were out there procuring narcotics for their boss? As a matter of fact, listen closely to exactly what Mark said, and I want you to realize that even though it sounded good, it made absolutely no sense.
So here's what I think the evidence shows you. There's not been one single witness in this case, and the government called many witnesses who's gotten on that stand and said I knew I was committing a crime, and I was committing a crime intentionally, and I was committing a crime for Mr. Combs when I was bringing these rugs, because I thought they were for personal use. And really on this point, Brendan Paul, who only testified a couple of days ago, was clear as a bell on this. He said that these were personal use rugs, and he told you I didn't think they were criminal. And then he says I forgot to take the cocaine out of my bag, and when And on March 25, when the search was done, they found the in my bag in Florida.
Okay, so here's the thing. You want me to actually believe that a 20-something-year-old college graduate who's now working as a personal assistant to Diddy did not understand that buying rugs for your boss is illegal? I mean, for real, what did Brandon Paul think? Did he think that the United States of America made an exemption in their rug laws just for Diddy? Because the last time I checked, except for a little Mary Jane in certain states, all purchasing of drugs is illegal. And I actually think that it's crazy that Mark Agnifilo stood up there and said that ignorance of a crime means that it's not a crime. Because if that was the case, I could go out and rob a bank, and then after I get caught and I'm standing in front of the judge, I could just look at the judge and say, listen, I ain't know that robbing a bank was a crime. Likewise, Mark Agnifilo had the nerve to say that Diddy didn't actually purchase prostitutes. Instead, he was purchasing escorts, and they just happened to give him the SEX as a bonus.
I'm going to talk about the Mann Act transportation for prostitution. The government put up a poster. I couldn't count all the guys in it, but it was like 30-something, a lot of guys, okay? They called 2. And the 2 that they called were Daniel Phillips and Sheree Hayes. They could have called everybody. They could have called anyone they wanted. They called 2 people. Here is the fascinating thing about the 2 people that they chose to call. Neither of them, both of them utterly disavowed being a prostitute. Both of them utterly disavowed having S for money. Those witnesses said, I'm not a prostitute. I'm not engaged in prostitution. I don't have S for money. Well, you need evidence. You need witnesses to say that. Were these the 2 best of the 30, 27, 39? These were the 2 best. The 2 guys who didn't travel anywhere and were not prostitutes and did not have S for money. They were very clear. There was no discussion of S for money. There was no negotiation of S for money. There was no agreement of S for money. Phillips said, I never asked for $1. That was his testimony. I never asked for $1. He said, I wouldn't have thought twice that this was prostitution. This is a government witness. Didn't cross my mind that this was prostitution. So is it supposed to cross his? I mean, there are 3 people in this room. There's Cassie or Jane, there's one of these guys, and there's him. And no one is saying it's prostitution. No one. It's almost like saying, we want to put on all this evidence, but maybe we really don't, because if we say too much, then they're going to ruin our second trial, the fake one. The one where we just want to say stuff to the jury without evidence because what their witnesses said is that they're not prostitutes. Sheree Hayes said the same thing. He says, I come to create a sexy screen. That's what he said. I'm not involved in prostitution. Hunkomania is not involved in prostitution. I am not involved in prostitution. One of the things he says that's interesting is that one time he came, he got $500, and he left, and there was no S. And this happens quite a bit. There's a fair amount of evidence of that. And so this ridiculous notion of money for time that they wouldn't even talk to you guys about yesterday, that's what their witnesses are saying. If you get paid because you did spend some time and you didn't have S, what are you getting paid for? You're getting paid for your time. Now, let's talk about Cowboys 4 Angels. Cowboys, there's documents and evidence. There's text messages between Bridget Collins and Mr. Combs. It is an ongoing, successful, thriving business, okay? It's been around for a while. It's around today. And if anybody wanted to order a cowboy tonight, operators will take your call. Okay? They are open for business. They are doing fine. They don't seem to be going anywhere. Okay. Why is he supposed to know more than them? Why is, if they're in business, and they are sending escorts, do a lot of the escorts have S?
I think so.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I think so. But if it's that you're paying for time, and if the 2 adults meet because you're paying for time, and they choose to have S, it looks like that's not illegal because there are all these companies around.
Okay, so now we're just out here being stupid because we all know darn well exactly what Diddy was paying for. And Diddy was definitely not paying for a companion that he could sit next to watch his favorite show, Dateline with. And since we mentioned Dateline, yo, did y'all see the cake that Jane bought Diddy for his birthday?
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Thank you, God.
Yo, why did Jane Doe buy Diddy the Dateline birthday cake with the caution tape and the knives in it? That's crazy. Anyhow, Mark Agnafio went on to say that on the day that Diddy went over to Kid Cudi's house, he went over there to run the fade and have a fair fight. He says that Diddy doesn't need a pow-pow because Diddy knows how to throw them hands up, and he was ready to do a one-on-one fight just like this was the olden days and he's John Wayne.
He went there. He was mad at Cudi. He wanted to fight him, because that's who he is. He wanted to fight Cudi, and Cudi wanted to fight him. Remember what Cudi said? I'm going to say it, mother trucker. You're in my house, right? And these are two grown men who are going to have a fist fight because he's not a coward. He's not afraid to fight. And Cudi, for his credit, he's not a coward. He's not afraid to fight either. So at the risk of sounding sexist, they're going to do what men do. They are going to have a good old-fashioned fist fight. Which is why you know he didn't do anything to that man's car, because that's not his style. He's a fighter. He's a fighter. You have a problem with me, I'm coming to your house. I'm coming to you're messing with my girl. I'm coming to your house and we're going to fight. No weapons. We're going to fight. One of us is going to punch the other in the nose and get punched in the nose, and we're going to have a good old-fashioned John Wayne 8 in the morning Hollywood Hills fight.
Oh my goodness, that right there is hilarious. Listen, let me know in the comment section below. Do you believe that Diddy went all the way over to Kid Cudi's house to have a good old-fashioned John Wayne Hollywood Hills fight? Or do you believe that Diddy had the burner on him and so did his security guard? And I mean, for real, I think it's crazy that Mark Agnafio really stood up there and tried to make it seem like Diddy is some chivalrous character, like he's Simon from Bridgerton, and he went over there with some sense of honor to engage in a gentleman's duel. Next, Diddy's attorney had the gumption to stand up in front of that jury and say that when you really think about it, Diddy and Cassie's story is a love story for the ages, and the only reason why it really didn't work out is because Cassie's mad gangsta.
So if you had to pick a winner in this whole thing, it's hard not to pick Cassie. Cassie, at a certain point, just flat won. And Cassie flat won. No secret. He's in jail. You guys probably know that. The handsome gentleman behind him. Members of the United States Marshal Service. Wonderful, wonderful people. And they've certainly done a good job of keeping him safe. But they are keeping him safe in jail. Cassie won. It's like a slaughter. It's not even close. It's 100 and up. So anyone who's telling you, yeah, Cassie, she's a victim. Cassie, she's naive. Cassie, she couldn't see what was coming. Let's look at the facts. That's why he loved her. That's why he loved her. Cassie's no joke. And that's why he loved her. She matched him. She was like him. He was at a certain level. Cassie was at a certain level. They're in love with each other. And in my opinion, it's kind of a great modern love story.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I don't know what kind of love stories Mark Agnafio is over there watching, but can somebody please tell him that the Cassie Diddy story is definitely not The Notebook? Alright, so after he says that nonsense, he turns around and says that the reason why all of these women are upset with Diddy is because everybody's in love with Diddy, including Capricorn Clark.
So let's talk about Capricorn Clark for a minute. Capricorn Clark said something, I don't know what it was, 5 or 6 times, might have been a little more. When she was on the stand, she said, I just wanted to get my life back. Remember that? I just wanted to get my life back. And she said it enough times that I said, what does she mean? What does that mean, and is it relevant for her testimony? So what did she say? She said, I moved to the Bronx. I moved to New York, and I meet Sean Combs, and he's a friend. We're hanging out. This is before I worked for him, with him. You know, it's me, him, and there's another girlfriend, and we're hanging out. And she says, I asked her what her relationship was. And she goes, we're super platonic friends. Now, I don't know what super platonic means, but what I think it means is we're way more platonic than I want. That's what super, and I think she said it 3 or 4 times. She said it on direct and cross, we were super platonic friends. What's the significance? She likes him. I mean, he's up and coming. It's 2002, 2003, he's making a mark in the world. And Capricorn, I mean, listen, you guys have to size her up for yourself. And I'm going to say something, and you tell me if you think this is right. There's something a little off-kilter about Capricorn. I think she's fundamentally a good person, but she's a little out there.
Okay, so peep what Mark just did there. I want you to see the spin that he put on it. He said that when they asked Capricorn Clark what her relationship with Diddy was outside of work, she said it was super platonic. So, in his mind, that can only mean one thing, and that one thing is that she wanted Diddy. Listen, let me ask you something. Do you have a friend and somebody asked you, what's your relationship with your friend? And you said, oh, we're super platonic. Does that mean that you want to get with your friend? See, the craziest thing about Mark Agnafio's closing arguments is that this dude is just out here saying whatever, and a lot of this stuff doesn't even make sense, because 1 + 3 doesn't equal 2. But Mark is over there like, listen, Capricorn Clark said that her and Diddy were platonic friends, and you know, the only thing that could mean is that she really wanted him. I mean, really, is that the only thing that could really mean, or could it mean that they were super platonic friends? But Mark Agnafio knew exactly what he was doing, because he did the exact same thing when he was talking about Mia. Mark said that you know that Diddy didn't SA Mia because they had a consensual relationship, and one time when Diddy called her on the phone, he actually told Mia that he was going to call Cassie and tell her everything.
Alright, so we were talking about forced labor, and we already talked about Capricorn. Now we're going to talk about Mia. I think the evidence is pretty clear. I'm going to go through it not in tremendous detail, but at least enough that this was not unwanted sexual contact. And I say that because of a few reasons. But one of the reasons I say it is at one point there was a text exchange between Combs and Mia. And Combs says, I'm going to tell Cassie about us. Do you remember that? I'm going to tell Cassie about us. Now, if he sexually assaulted Mia, why would he kind of stir that pot, right? I mean, if it's like, I did something to you that's a crime, or that is improper, or something that I should never ever have done, why am I going to say I'm going to tell Cassie about us? Because what he's inviting, at a minimum, is for Mia to say, well, then I'm going to tell her what really happened. But the problem is there is no what really happened. What happened is something consensual happened. It happened, and Mia and Cassie are friends. Cassie doesn't know about it. Mia doesn't want Cassie to know about it. And so the pressure point that Mr. Combs uses in that instance is, yeah, I'm going to tell Cassie about us.
Oh please, Diddy was getting ready to call Cassie and tell her all types of stories. So once again, I say, what does one thing have to do with the other? What does Diddy saying that he's going to call Cassie and tell her everything have to do with the fact that he allegedly SA'd this young woman? Because him calling Cassie does not disprove the fact that he SA'd the young girl. As a matter of fact, this whole thing brings up more questions. For example, why is Diddy always boinking his employees? And in 2, just because he said he was going to call Cassie does not mean that when he called Cassie, he was going to tell her the truth. And we all know that Diddy is a liar. And how do we know that he's a liar? Remember when all of this stuff first dropped and he came out and said that none of it happened, and then when the hotel video dropped, he came back out and said that he was going to rehab and he was working on himself? And now, during this trial, we find out that up to the day that he got arrested, this dude was still over there doing freak-offs. He didn't go to rehab, he wasn't working on himself, and he's still over there cuffed up.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up.
See, what we learned about Diddy based on his relationship with Jane is that he will tell anybody anything to get the outcome that he wants. Which is why Mark Agnafio's argument that Diddy didn't know that Jane and Cassie really didn't like these freak-offs is BS. Because one thing that people are forgetting is that after Cassie left Diddy and before she settled her lawsuit with Diddy, she actually wrote an entire book telling him that she didn't like the freak-offs and that they caused her mad trauma. So when the next chick comes along and you're in a relationship and she looks at you and she says, listen babe, I don't like these freak-offs because they're causing me mad trauma, you can't turn around and be like, what? I had no idea. What are you talking about? I thought that you loved being boinked by a vast amount of strangers that we find on Craigslist and other places that I really want to cuff. Additionally, the fact that Jane told him, I don't like this and I do not want to do this, and while he was on the phone, he was like, nah, we ain't going to do it. You know, it's just going to be me and you. And then as soon as he hung up, he was on the phone with KK like, yo, call Paul and get him to the hotel. Shows that he knew exactly what he was doing. And one common thread that runs throughout this whole entire trial is that Diddy, aka Brother Love, doesn't love anybody. Instead, what he does is manipulate people in order to get his needs met. So when Mark Agnafio got up there and said that Diddy's a protector and a provider who's much better than Jane's ex-man, he was blowing smoke up the jury's Rosses once again.
I don't know whoever cut the deal with their child's father. That's a pretty crappy child support deal in my opinion. She probably deserves more, and guess who's giving her more? The one who has no responsibility for that woman's child at all. So you had talked about like who's doing the right thing, and who's doing the wrong thing. There's only one way to look at the house that he is paying for is that he is doing the right thing. He is picking up the ball for someone who seems to have dropped the ball with his own kid, okay? So the house, forget the house. The house is a gesture of kindness and decency and niceness. And as to his credit, when she was on the stand, he hasn't changed it. He hasn't changed it. Oh, you're going to come testify at my racketeering trial? You know what? He made a deal and he kept it. Good for him. There should be more people like that. So forget the house. If they're going to get up here on rebuttal and say the house leads to trafficking, just don't go that way because that's not right.
Oh please, Diddy bought Jane that house right down the block from his house for the same reason why he got Cassie the apartment that was right down the street from his house. He wanted these chicks to be right nearby for the greasy quickies. But here's the thing, after 50 Cent heard what Mark Agnifilo had to say about Jane Doe's ex-baby daddy not paying enough in child support, 50 Cent jumped online and said that Diddy's attorneys are a bunch of fumbling idiots who just gave him 20 years.
50 Cent is convinced Diddy's own lawyer just handed him a 20-year prison sentence. Following the closing arguments in Diddy's federal trial, 50 went on a social media rant, claiming the defense team completely fumbled the case. He posted, "Damn, they did Diddy dirty them closing statements, man. I could have done better than that. How much he paid them lawyers." Diddy's lead attorney, Mark Agnifilo, argued that Diddy was just an alleged abuser being exploited for cash, not the sex trafficker prosecutors claim he is. The lawyer even attacked one of the alleged victims' legal counsel, calling them the worst lawyer in the world. This sent 50 over the edge. He posted a picture of Agnifilo, writing, "You are the worst lawyer." Remember the name Mark Agnifilo. He just got Diddy 20 years. So while the defense tried to paint a picture of a shakedown, 50 Cent believes the strategy was so bad it sealed Diddy's fate. With the jury now deliberating, the world is waiting to see if 50's prediction comes true.
Listen, do me a favor and hit that like button, and also let me know down below. Is 50 Cent right when he says that he predicts that Diddy's gonna be in jail until 2045? Alright, so back to the trial. So then, Mark Agnifilo goes back to the Cassie hotel incident, and he says that the only reason that happened is because Diddy was hopped up on the wrong type of stuff. He got a bad batch. And the reason why you know that he got a bad batch is because he was out in that hallway in that towel way too long.
And I submit to you that it's interesting. If we played the whole thing through, he stays in a towel in a public hallway way too long. I mean way too long. Like what's up with, "You are Sean Combs"? You know, if you went to Tokyo, 1,000 people would recognize you. And you are walking around in the middle of the day in a hotel in a towel and socks. So what gives? What gives?
Okay, so this argument that Mark has made right here is totally disingenuous, and it actually proves nothing. And it certainly doesn't prove that Diddy was like hopped up on a bad batch, because it's not as if Diddy has rented a hotel room at the Holiday Inn next to Disney World during the busy season. Everybody knows that Diddy rented out the whole floor, so he was not concerned nor worried about anybody seeing him in his towel because nobody was on that floor. Similarly, the argument that Diddy was so hopped up on a bad batch of stuff that he didn't know what he was doing, he was out of control, but he didn't know what he was doing, doesn't work. Because as soon as Diddy saw that security guard, he was sober enough to look at that man and say, "Listen, I'll give you $100,000 if you get that tape." And then Mark Agnifilo had the nerve to say that we know for a fact that Cassie wasn't scared of Diddy because she could handle Diddy. And we know that she could handle Diddy because she lied to Diddy about cheating with Kid Cudi.
The government wants you to believe I'm scared. She's scared to death of Sean. Scared to death of Sean Combs. Scared to death of Sean Combs. Afraid of his temper. Afraid of what he might do. She lied to him for a long time, over and over and over, as she had a relationship with another singer-songwriter under his nose. She's not afraid of him because you know why? I can handle it. She can handle it. She could handle it.
Okay, so once again, you have Mark Agnifilo out here correlating two unrelated things. Because what does the fact that Cassie lied to Diddy about going with Kid Cudi have to do with the fact that Cassie was scared of Diddy? Like, one thing has nothing to do with the other, because as a matter of fact, one of the reasons why she may have lied to Diddy about talking to Kid Cudi is because she was scared of him. And then, a little later on, Mark Agnifilo goes on to say that he can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Diddy never argued Cassie, but then he turns around and just starts telling a story that he's made up out of thin air, and he never proves anything. Listen to this.
Alright. So she's in a bind. She's in a bind because she got a call from her now husband on the phone while she's with Combs. and she has to do the oldest trick in the book. I don't know how Alex found out, but he found out, and she has to say he me, because it's better than the alternative for her, because it's better than saying, yeah, I slipped. I told you I was going to see him, I thought nothing was going to happen, and then something happened and I slipped. So she lies. She lies and says that she was
Yo, did this dude just say that it's the oldest trick in the book for a woman to lie on her ex and say that he AR'd her so that she can cover up the fact that she slept with him to her new man? Wow, let me tell you something. A whole lot of people were like, yeah, Mark Agnafilo did his thing. But here's the thing, when you actually listen to what he actually said, this dude was over there talking a whole lot of yang. Because when did lying to your man and saying that you got AR'd become the oldest trick in the book for women? I mean, honestly, his closing arguments were mad misogynistic. But it is what it is. Anyhow, after the closing arguments were made, a whole lot of people came out and they have different opinions. For example, Joe Budden thinks that Diddy was lined up.
I'll tell you this, listen, no matter what happens to him and the internet, y'all could drag me, you've been dragging me for 20 years, I don't give a fuck. They lined him up. They did. He got lined, I ain't gonna hold you. He did. He played a part in it, but he got lined up, dog. So it being discovered or confirmed that Cassie and her boyfriend had to go stay at Cassie's family's house for a long period of time, said to me that they was a lot more hard up than they let on. The Cassie clip.
When you say hard up, you mean
for money,
without a penny, two rocks to rub together. And I've been there, and that's when schemes happen.
Now, unlike Joe, Tisa Tells is predicting that Diddy's going down for everything, including the RICO.
Baby, they are saying that Diddy has made a fatal error. His defense has made a fatal mistake that will, I am predicting, cost him everything.
And Oreo Day says that at this point, the case could go either way. But if Diddy does get off, she's leaving the country.
What I hope the jury decides is a complicated question because the rational justice side of me that leads a good amount of what I do nowadays says the answer should be what was proven by the prosecution, the law. And that's conflicting to what I want personally. I think that I was hoping that we would be like slam dunking today. It's not gonna be, I don't feel it's gonna be a walk away with nothing at all. If it is, I'll leave the country tomorrow because that's scary.
Listen, as you know, I've been following this Diddy case pretty closely, and this is what I predict. I believe that Diddy's going to be found guilty on multiple charges. Now, even though I believe that Diddy's going to be found guilty, I don't see him getting life in prison, and I also don't see him getting 20. I think it's going to be less than that, but I do believe that Diddy is not walking free. And if he does get off scot-free, I would be totally shocked. Listen, let me know your Diddy trial prediction, and also let me know what you think about everything that we discussed in today's video. And while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. But before I go, let me give a quick shout out to the Down the Rabbit Hole channel because I used some of her video to help make this video, so I really appreciate what she does over there. And if you get a chance, go and check out her channel because she's been doing a phenomenal job on this Diddy trial, and she also does a phenomenal job on everything she covers, so make sure to give her some love. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Source, your source for celebrity news. Peace.